Well, if it's not time for the Ruby Girl Talk Show and you are here right on time, thank you for tuning in once again to a Ruby Girl Talk Show. And as you know, every week I'll always find somebody that you really need to listen to and it's going to really pour into you, going to leave you, like I said, grab the tissues because this time we're having a real heart to heart talk and we want to talk about some things that's happening in the community. We want to educate you and we want you to also to be a support. So before I get started and before I introduce you and I do my commercial, Miss Mina, if you have friended me on Facebook, I want you to go on my page and share this video to your page. I sent you a friend request, so we should
I
be
think
friends now.
yeah, we are friends.
Good. We're really, really friends now. So
So,
while you do that, I'm just going to give my commercial. So, hey, everybody. Once again, my name is Dr. Karron Dodd, also known as your favorite Ruby girl, and also functioning in the role of Coach K. And I am the owner of His Designs LLC, also the creator of the Proverbs 31 and 10 brand Ruby Girl. And Ruby Girl is the tribe with the right vibe. And so, what I want you to do is go to rubygirl.net and you can get my free ebook, a handbook for the Ruby girls. And if you put in the code LOVE, LOVE, you can get that book for free. But if you just want to pay $1.99, I'm fine with that. Just sow a seed into Ruby Girls. And so Ruby Girl comes from once again Proverbs 31 and 10. And so I'm using a platform to help women to re-identify themselves as that Proverbs 31:10 plus woman. You can get the things done that she has done just by being your true and authentic self. So, before we get started, before we really get into the meat of the program, this is what I want you to do for me that's watching. Hit the share button. It is free. It is tax free. I know it's tax season. You don't have to worry about paying taxes for hitting that button, but just press that button and share, share, share. So, what happens when you share? So many other people get to hear this video and they get to share and learn the information that's going to be shared tonight. So I have Miss Mena Davis. Hello, Mena Davis. How are you doing?
good evening. I'm blessed. That's the only answer I can give you tonight.
Great. So could you introduce yourself to us?
Well, yes, I am Mena Davis. I am born here, right here in the city of Detroit. I lived here until I was 9, moved to California, and then came back to Detroit as an adult with 3 children. I am also the executive director and the founder of a nonprofit organization called All Things Women. We are based in Livonia, but our current housing location is in Detroit. And All Things Women is just a place where we decide to love on women in all phases of their life. So not only do we provide housing, food, clothing, mentorship, empowerment, we also just meet a woman where she is, and we talk to her and ask her where does she want to go, and then we act like that sister to help her get and meet that goal. Like that's what we do in a nutshell. There's no more big words other than to say that we love on our sisters and we try to be that guiding force to help them into the best version of themselves.
I can feel the genuine love. I can
Yeah.
feel the peace. You know, you really have a heart for women. And that's important in what you do because a lot of women that's coming to you are at their lowest point,
Yes.
most wounded point of their life, and they come to you and they trust you, and it's hard for the type of women that you deal with. I know they have to have some trust issues. So I know y'all excited and really want to know what Miss Mina got to say. So can you share with us your personal journey and how your upbringing has influenced your passion for serving others, especially women, veterans, and family facing homelessness? And then also tell us, throw in there how all things women was started.
Yeah. So, again, I told you a little bit about my journey. I started here. We lived on the east side of Detroit. I always tell people I was born on the east side of Detroit, but I was raised in South Central LA. in the 80s. And so we know what was going on in South Central in the 80s. We were in the midst of a crack epidemic. And so my family was part of that casualty. At some point in my childhood, I was homeless. We were blessed that we didn't have to go to a shelter, that a family took us in. And it wasn't until I was actually adult to be able to identify the fact that we were homeless. My mother made sure that we were in a place and we were loved. And although we had no permanent residence, we landed someplace that allowed us to not be traumatized by the experience. I subsequently had a step parent who had, had become part of this crack epidemic as my primary caregiver for some parts of my life. So I've kind of seen firsthand a lot of the things that, I pushed and worked my whole life for my children not to see. And it's okay because those are the things that made me who I am today. And, fast forward, 20 years later, 30 years later, I'm now a mother. And my heart still has that mission to be a service to individuals. When you grow up in a setting where there is drugs, there is violence, there is trauma, you become a caregiver. And so I became a caregiver very early in my life. I wanted to take care of my sisters and brothers because I wanted to shield them from some of the things that was going on. I wanted to take care of my mother because it was difficult to watch her struggle through this whole process. I wanted to take care of my stepfather as he, battled the crack addiction. I just was just compelled. It became what I called my drug. It was how I pushed through, is that I consistently and continually wanted to be a caregiver. And every job I've had since then, I've been in that capacity. I've worked through Boys and Girls Clubs. I've worked in veteran recovery programs, but I've always been led to be a person that would give people comfort, that would be uplifting to people. That's how I pushed through those dark days. And so, All Things Women, it was just birthed out of that. Finally, after spending so many years running from that, because you say, who wants to do that? Like, who wakes up and says, I want to be a place where, broken and sick individuals come and seek you. But I understand now that that was just a calling on my life, and that's just what God intended for me to do. And once I gave into that, this was easy. Like, opening up All Things Women. A friend of mine called me one day and said, "Hey, you still looking for a place to do your program?" I said, "Sure." So he took me to this building, and as I walked through this building, I just kept saying, "God, can women heal here? Can women heal here?" And of course, it turned out to be a beautiful place. I didn't have any money. This building is 3 stories. It's 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. It's in a very historic district, beautiful location. And so I was like, I know this is going to cost a whole lot of money, but guess what? I said, God, you gave me this vision. So when we finally got down to talking about the money of this, the landlord says, well, you need to have at least $1,000. Now, mind you, this is in 2020. This is in June 2020. So we are in the midst of a global pandemic. But luckily, but God, I had just gotten $1,000 stimulus check. So I was like, oh, sure, Lord, I have $1,000. I thought we would, open in 2020 and just become a place where women who were either battered or abused due to COVID-19 could get away and have a place and then be safe. And 4 years later, we are still open, still just trying to be that beacon in the community. All Things Women gives me everything that I wanted to give people as a little kid. It not only has it healed the community, but it's been that healing place that I needed as I grow into this other version of who I am.
I love it. I love what you're doing. You
Yeah.
know, um, like you said, you from your childhood. Isn't it funny how God works? How when He really says, He
Mhm.
can take the bad and make it good. And when we're in the midst of it, we can't see how, Lord, how can you make me growing up in South Central California dealing with these family issues? How can you take anything good up out of this? And God used that to bless so many people. And sometimes when we're in situations, funny how people come out of trauma differently.
Yes.
Some people come out of trauma bitter, messed up, just non-productive. And then you have the people like you that come out wanting to help other people that's going through what you're going through. You come almost because you have such empathy. You come out with empathy. And I know because I'm the same way. Like people say, you really show up for people. I
Mm,
show up for people because I always felt like people didn't show up for me. You
exactly.
know, so it's funny how our childhood, God just takes the good,
Mhm,
takes the bad, and
mhm.
just use it so much where it's good. And so many people are being blessed because of the pain that you went through,
And
because of the sacrifice.
exactly. It's amazing that, when I sit back and think about it, how even in this process, God continued to put people in my life who guided me in this direction. There were so many times when I was like, "No, Lord, you didn't call me. I'm not supposed to do this." And my cousin Stephanie will say, "Girl, get off the floor. Get back on the horse. You're gonna do this. This is what God, there's so many days when I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna keep the lights and the gas on, and my children will call and say, "Mom, I'm so proud of you," and
Mhm.
it'll revitalize me. I was walking down the street maybe about two days ago, walking around the building, and a lady stopped in her car and she said, "Are you open?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I'm just." She said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Well, are you open tomorrow?" I said, "Yes, we'll be." Oh, she said, "Okay, I'll be there. What time?" So we open at 11. She said, "Okay, I'll be there at 11." She said, I miss y'all. I haven't been there since before Christmas. I miss y'all." And that just touched my heart, that
Mhm.
that that she missed us. So that means when she came into our building, she felt the presence. She felt safe. She felt loved. She felt wanted, because that's what we missed. We missed something that left us feeling like we were in a safe and warm and loving place. And that made me, I looked up at God. I said, "Okay, God, we doing your work. We are doing your work here."
And you are, because God calls us to the ones that are forgotten, that's
Hmm.
overlooked, and that people have counted out. And that's what the work of the Lord is. Truly, it's not preaching in a big church and having all these members. That's not really it. What really it is getting in the trenches, doing like Jesus did. Jesus walked among the lepers. Jesus walked among the people. He didn't have a problem with Peter when the lady that was had the issue of blood touched him. He
Right,
didn't turn on her and go off. He
right.
just wanted to know who just took the virtue. He knew, but he wanted her to reveal. So Jesus was a hands-on, down in the dirt, down just right there in the midst of the center, sitting with them, because he understood I have to get to where they're at.
Mhm,
Sometimes we be trying to bring them up, and we just really need to go where they at, sit
mhm.
with them, listen to them, and just love on them, and just share the love of Christ.
In order to do this work, I had to learn that. I had to learn that it's only my responsibility to go and to sit with them. I used to think that it was my responsibility to go sit with them, clean them up, love on them, pick them up, feed them, put some new clothes on them, put them in a nice house, help them pay the car. I used to think that all those things were my issues. And one day God, our God is a jealous God, and he said, "Hold on, Mina. You trying to do my job. I just told you to go over there and sit with them, to be amongst them, to preach the gospel, to spread the word. That's all I told you to do. I didn't tell you to do all that other stuff you in there trying to do." Once I got that message from God, it changed how I service people. It changed how I approach people. It changed how I am able to deliver whatever it is that they need, because I understand what my role is. My role is not to take care of the problem. My role is to help them as they approach the problem, as they get through the problem, and as the problem is behind them. But it's not my job to cure it. That's God's job. It's just
Yeah.
my job to be there where he places it. And he sends people to us all the time. I know when I help a person, I say to them, God heard your prayer. He sent you here. I tell them that
Wow.
all the time.
Wow. That is so beautiful. So before starting All Things Women, did you have experience working for nonprofits? You told us, that you work for like the Boys and
Mhm.
Girl Club. So we'll validate. We'll say yes to that. We'll
That's it.
both agree. Yeah.
I've worked nonprofits my entire life. I
Mm.
started at 14 at the Salvation Army in South Central, not Salvation Army, at the YMCA,
Uh-huh.
Weingart YMCA, right there on Central in Vermont in LA. 14 years old, I was a summer camp counselor, and I have been in nonprofits since.
So tell us how you became a grant writer.
Okay, so I have to tell this whole story, right? So this is my college. This goes back to college. Okay, here I am, and you've heard the story, but I have to tell it, right?
So go
So I'm
ahead.
in college. I've been, accepted in this wonderful program for minorities. Here I am at San Diego State. My college advisor comes to me and it's like, Mena, you need to pick a career because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Pick a career. It's career day. Again, this is San Diego State. The career fair is out in the quad. It's about 1,000 job, recruiters out there in their suits and their ties. Again, this is the 80s. So we come in, this is the 86, 87. So Silicon Valley, there's recruiters everywhere. I look across this whole quad. I see one man sitting out there with some khaki shorts on, some tennis shoes. He's reading a newspaper. He had a sweatshirt on. And I was like, let me figure out what career he's talking about. I go over to him. He's talking like everybody else has a shirt, tie, a calculator, a computer, a headset. I was like, I can't do all. I didn't feel that. I went straight to him. He worked for Boys and Girls Club. I spent 13 years in Boys and Girls Club. I've met some of the most amazing people. My mentor to this day is Joyce Davison. She met me as a young 24-year-old. She just was a phenomenal mentor in terms of how to do programming. But I had to write grants. And so in order to keep all these programs going, so I wrote my first grant, $6,364.46. It was funded and they gave me the book because I said, all I have to do is write these nice stories and people will give us money. And so that's how my whole grant writing journey began. I was able to write stories, and we were able to get funding because I could articulate what my impact was, what my mission is, how using their dollars would impact the people that I was serving. And I was very successful at it. For 10 years, I ran my own grant writing business. And then in 2011, I finally said, okay, I'm ready to go back to work. And I went back to work in a 100-bed facility. Actually, I wrote the grant. And once I wrote the grant, I had to work the program. But it was a phenomenal experience for veterans.
Wow. That's amazing. And that's how we met.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so let me tell you a story, y'all. So I just happened to go on a WXYZ
Mhm.
um website, and I usually don't go on there. I was just led to go. And they had did an interview with her. I clicked on there. I was like, oh, a women's shelter. Because I was looking to connect with shelters because of my journal that I had wrote for women that are being abused. And so I clicked on her website and I'm just looking, just going through. And then I seen they were having a grant class. And I was like, now, all these grants out there. I said, this would be something, a good tool for me to use when I'm coaching. Went there, met Miss Mina. Wonderful class. It was 4 hours long, but it went so quick. She kept us active. And then my group, we had to do a mock nonprofit, a non to get a grant, and we actually won the fake grant, the 100K
Yeah.
grant. Yeah. And so we were like, I was like, I got this. So I ended up teaching a class, and Miss Mina, she had told us we can share the information. So I didn't go to steal her information. She even said, do you need something? Do you need help? And I'm like, wow, because most people guard what they teach. Now, people with a God heart, they don't have no problem. Like, you learn this, you go tell other people. They
Absolutely.
don't look at it like, well, now she's about to make money off my back. But y'all that were part of the class, what I did do, I donated half of what I made to the shelter because I wanted to give back to her because she sowed seeds into my life by teaching me the grant information.
Yeah.
So when I tell you, I can tell she's the type of person that don't hoard what God has blessed her with. She want to see everybody win. And in this day, you want to connect with somebody like that. Now you remember she said she's running a shelter, is based off grants and donations. So her cash app is up in the comment section. So if you already feeling her story, feeling her mission, go ahead, do that cash app and just cash app her. Let me tell you, it's not just going to go to her. I've been to her shelter. She really has a heart for the people that go through her shelter. So, Miss Mina, it's time for us to have a short break. So, it's going to be a 60-second break. So, I go out there and see if anybody out there made comments. I give them a little shout out. I let them be a movie star for about 60
Right,
seconds, right?
right.
And, and so, while I do that, I just want you to give us a 60-second talk. You can talk about the shelter, you can ask for donation, whatever's on your heart. You got 60 seconds. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, go right ahead.
I think in the 60 seconds, I asked God, what did He want? What message did He want me to deliver? And the message that I believe God wants me to deliver is that as women, we need to be better to each other. As women, I want us to walk into a new season of supporting and uplifting each other. There's this phrase that I love that says, we fix each other's crown. And if you think about that visual, the energy and effort it takes that you have to lift a person's crown and then make that person feel that value and that worth, is just something that it doesn't matter how many BBLs you receive, no matter how many no matter how we try to augment ourselves, we can give each other that self-esteem. We can give each other that love that we search and seek other places. We can teach each other how to love ourselves. It was having daughters that taught me to love myself. I had no idea of what my value was until I saw my daughters, and I said, "Dang on it, you did a good job there." My son reminds me every time he sees me, like, "Mom, you are the best. He pours into me in every conversation. He never gets off the phone and doesn't say I love you. Like, so that has to give you some worth. That has to make you feel worthy. Let's tell each other that. Me and Janae had this conversation not too long ago about the word beauty. And I said to her, I never thought I was beautiful growing up because I never heard anybody use that word. I never heard anybody call me beautiful. I grew up where beautiful was blonde hair, blue eyes, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Nothing about it looked like me. And so now at this age, I'm realizing that we can embrace that word. We can reclaim that word, like I said. So the word I always try to say is I always try to see women and say, hello, beautiful, like, you are beautiful. And I just want that message to resonate with women. Let's start calling each other beautiful. Let's start believing we're beautiful. Let's start just pouring into each other and watch everything else in the world change. Watch it, watch everything else change.
Wow. Give them their website and your cash app so they can donate.
Our website is www.allthingswomeninc.org. Our cash app is $A as in apple, T as in Tom, W as in woman, INC, ATWINC.
Okay. All right, y'all. Y'all donate.
Yeah,
Donate.
everything goes right back. We there's
Yeah.
there's just a very small staff. There's just two of us, one other contractual. All donations go directly back in the program. The first 2.5 years, I self-funded this. We've been blessed in the last month to probably get we've gotten a grant every month for the last few months. So I think things are turning around, but every donation goes right back into the organization.
Yes. And like I said, I've been to the shelter. I love the house. The house is just made to be a shelter. It's just uniquely made. And then she had showed me where for what, 75 years it had.
Yes. It was previously a Don Bosco Hall, and my understanding is that even before that, it was something else in relationship to like Black families and children. I tell a story where a lady came in there and she indicated that the room that we were standing in was the same room that she used to have her parenting time in when the state had custody of her child, and she was trying to win her child back. So that building has a lot of history of being a beacon in that community, and we're just trying to live up to it and create a place where the community knows there's somebody gonna help you. We're gonna help you out here.
I like that. And I am committed to helping you as much as I can.
Appreciate.
Um, just my heart is for helping women. My heart is especially for women that have been wounded
Mhm.
because I'm trying to show up as the woman as the person I needed when I was younger. So I'm
Okay.
trying to show up for women as the woman they need in their life because I understand that as women, we get hit with so many arrows.
Mhm.
And last night I was at a business meeting. They was talking about we're a double minority, and we don't think that, but we really are women and women of color.
Yes.
So we are a double minority. And so the one thing I like now it can start to in business work for our advantage, like writing grants and coming up for grants. And even I learned this last night that some corporations we might think they hire all these, black women, they're not hiring the black men because they get more tax write-off because we're double. I learned that last night. So I was like, oh, okay. So all right. So let's see who's out there. So I see Janae. She's out there. Hey, Janae. We got Stephanie. She said, you are great at what you're doing. It's who you are, Mena Davis.
Uh,
Love you.
I have to be more.
And Renee, but Renee is out there. She's like, this is awesome. Blair Cherie is in the house. Stephanie Smith Williamson. I'm sorry. She said, fix her crown. She loved what you said about that. And then we have Wanda out there. She said, hello, all the godly women. Blair Cherie said, wow, I remember visiting kids there when
Yeah.
I did foster care.
Yeah.
Wow, so she's been there to that
Very rich
place.
history.
Wow, isn't that something? And then one to say, I don't know. Oh, she says something's going on with her internet. Oh, okay. Hopefully it's not us going in and out. But yes, and Janae put your Cash App and your website in the comments. Wow. Ain't that something?
Always
That's
right on time.
amazing.
Janae is a good story. It's sometimes you will meet a woman, and in the first 30 seconds, you will say, "This is my sister." Like this is not just somebody that we are casually meeting. And Janae was a woman who just, I think I saw her on Facebook or something. Somehow we connected, and so she came over to the shelter one day, and I was like, look, you stuck, right? Like this is your place. Janae has been there going on a year and has turn these women completely around in their way of thinking, their way of communication. She has a God-given gift where she talks and women are engaged and they're interested. She has been nothing but a blessing since she's come into the program. And that was just remember I told you guys, since people, you know, that was just a relationship that out of the blue. We probably never would have crossed paths had it not been a fact that we both have hearts for helping people. And she has a program called Push with Janae, and she's a mentor, she's a life coach, and so she's just a phenomenal woman. You might even want to get her over here one day, just to have these conversations because she's entrenched. She's working with those women with all those traumas. She's in there crying with them, pushing them through. When they're in crisis, Janae is the one that they call, and she talks them through these crises. And that you have to be very well appointed
Oh
to
yeah.
have that role and then not spill over. She's a mother, she works in a school system, but she's able to compartmentalize them enough to be effective with these young women and still able to go out and minister and uplift and mentor. So she's a phenomenal woman. I thank her so much.
So Janae, you have to come on my show. I have to interview you next. You have to come on my show. But you just placed a crown on her head, and
Mhm.
that's beautiful. So now, everybody, this is the second part of our show. So we want to talk more about the people, the women that's coming to the shelter. Just want you to know some things that you might not know, or just confirm some things that you might have guessed on. So, what is, I was very curious when I had to ask this question. Could you tell us the average age of the women that come to your shelter?
So believe it or not, the average age of the woman that we've had has been 23 years old, with 1.5 children. And people say, "How do you have 1.5 children?" Because more than half of them came in also pregnant. So somehow the average, that's the way it came out. But at 23 years old, young mothers, 9 out of 10 times. This is the part of this process that is difficult for me. I get teary eyed just talking about it. The amount of trauma, the amount of abuse, the amount of disrespect, the amount of hopelessness, just the amount of just human emotional suffering that these women show up at our doorstep with at such young age. Can you imagine being 23 with, sexual trauma, bad relationships with your mother, in and out of foster care, molestation, incest? Like they come to us so battered and so abused, and they've been in the system. Like All Things Women is usually not their first stop. Usually they've been to another shelter. They feel like nobody hears them.
Yeah.
Feel like no one sees them. They feel like no one understands their plight. They don't feel safe with anyone. They don't feel heard. And so, for something like that, imagine if you had to put a visual on that, and they show up at your doorstep, and not only that, they come with these beautiful babies, so full of life. And God charges us with the task of loving them back to life. God charges us with, we can't solve their problems. We know what our financial limitations are. But when you see them 3 months later and they got on a full face of makeup and they got their hair done and their babies are nice and clean and well dressed. And when they greet you, they're like, "Hey, Miss Day," like their whole demeanor has changed because somebody has spent the last couple months loving them, making them a priority, instilling in them the things that they felt were missing. Somebody has spent the last couple of months caring that they had a hot meal, that there was gas in their car so they could get to and from work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you fine.
Um, and so women, women in general, we so strong. We're so resilient. Like
Yes, we are.
there's a saying that says we don't look like what we've been through. There's a saying, there's a song, there's all, it's so true, to watch these women morph into from our program, to watch them come from not even getting up and washing and wearing the same dirty clothes, to caring about their appearance, to wanting to volunteer in a community closet, to leading groups during their empowerment groups, to cooking with each other, to checking on each other, to being accountable to each other, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. They cry together, they cuss together. Sometimes I can't even go to their meetings because their mouths are horrible. But no, but it is that it's our work and philosophy on how we're going to help women is we call it our peer to peer. We're gonna heal each other. We're gonna utilize our lived experiences to heal each other. And we have clinical support. Ms. Lou Waters is our clinician. And so when women need a higher level of care, we've been trained to see those things. But we try to deal with them on a one-on-one basis, like like conversations they would have had with their mothers or with their aunties, but most importantly conversations they have with somebody who loves and cares about them.
And I think you're giving them the family they never had.
Yeah,
The
we
family that they prayed for and hope that one day, and now they're finally getting it at 23 years old. And for a lot of those young women around that age, we overlook them because
mhm.
we see the flashy hair, the attitudes, and
They
you
got
know
the
the
smart mouths. They so smart mouth.
yes, and so we don't want to deal with them, not really saying, okay, this is a symptom
Hmm.
that there's something deeper going on, but they so close off
Hmm.
to us, that we don't know how to get in. And God has graced you with that anointing because this you're operating under anointing because, like you said, everybody cannot do what you do with grace. Some people try to imitate exactly as you doing and you won't get the same results. It's grace that is helping you do this. And so you're correct. We do overlook these young girls, not knowing how to help them, because it's like people been taught now, don't get involved, mind your own business. But
Yeah.
if you're a child of God, God's business is your business. And that means if somebody's hurt, if somebody's wounded, that's your business. But I think about it, 23. Let me tell you what I was doing at 23. 23, I was crying on my birthday with a cooler that had probably been in my refrigerator for months. So it probably was spoiled. And I was crying, won't nobody go out? I'm old. I thought I was so old at 23. But
Right.
I had been living on my own since I was 19. I had moved out of my family house. They told me I couldn't come back. They
Well,
were upset that I moved out, that I had finally become this independent person. They were like, you probably don't have any money saved because my
oh, wow.
family always thought I
Good
was
experience,
green.
huh?
Yeah, but I had just started getting my whole business together. So I said to myself, I would rather sleep at a bus stop than go back home.
Mm,
Even when I was homeless for a minute, I figured it out. And I think this generation don't know how to figure it out like we did, but we had different resources back then too. Like if you didn't have a job, you got general assistance. So
hmm.
if you were single with no kids, they would pay your rent, give you food stamps. So I learned how to survive. Wasn't from the streets, but one thing I know how to do is survive. And so from the age of 19 up into 15, up until that time, I've always paid my own bills, managed my own household because I just like, you got to do this because nobody else is going to do it for you. But they have someone like you that's going to help them. And I can imagine I probably wouldn't be so independent. I just really wish I had somebody like you during that time that came along. But God was my grace because you know what? Young girls was attracted to me for some reason. Young girls looked to me as their mentor. I was just working, taking care of a household, just, being me. For some reason, they looked to me for a role model. So I guess the Lord knew back then. I guess He said, I'm gonna bring you back full circle. Women need women like us, Miss Mina.
Exactly. Exactly. I think so when these women come in the door, it is so true when we talk about I have dealt with some of those 23-year-olds where I have said, this chick is crazy. Like I'm being completely honest. Now I'm in a closed room and it's just me. And it's just me and you. But I have said, like, we gotta get her some medication or something, right? But I for the most part, most of the women that come through the door, we can sit down, we can talk, we can have a conversation, and they can feel safe. And they don't feel like we want anything from them. This generation is just, they don't trust anybody. They don't even trust each other. And it's all symptomatic of having mothers that were a lot younger when they had them. So their mothers didn't have a lot of the development. There's just all these other issues. I bet, and me and you are probably very close in age. I don't know if I was 23 at this day and age if I could survive what they have to go through. We There was always a way when we were coming up. There was always some way. There was always, like you said, general assistance. They don't even have programming like that anymore. People come to us and get clothing and shoes, and they are so grateful because they can't afford to even shop in Target and Walmart. We had Payless and Kmart. You could go to Kmart and get a little outfit. You might get talked about, but you look clean, you look presentable. These mothers don't, there's no place like that for them. There's no discount, the things that we used to have. Remember, you could go someplace, you could go, have a whole meal and spend $20.
Mhm.
Their meal is $20 per kid. So their circumstances are a whole lot different. And so as we try to approach how to help them, I am very anti, let me take care of it, let me take care of it, let me take care of it. My approach is, how are you going to take care of it and how can I help you? Like, you have to give me the solution. I'm out of the business of being your solution. I want to support the solution that you have. And once you put that control back on them, it really does empower them. It really does make them say, shoot, I am in control of this part of my life. Maybe not that part, maybe not that, but getting me some ID and a driver's license and my GED. Wow, I got control over that. And that's empowering. That's an amazing feeling that you feel like, you couldn't control your daddy touching you, you couldn't control, any of those things, but you can control your growth, your development, how you love yourself, and guess what? How you raise these babies.
You just ministered to us that's not 23. You know that, right? You just coached us out of some things. And, like, yeah, if I might not have control of this, but I do have control of that. And one thing we always have control of is how we handle a situation,
Yeah.
how we process it.
Mhm,
Like I said, people come out of trauma differently. You
mhm,
know, some come out ready to help. Some come out hurt, bitter, and
mhm.
then you have those that come out like both hurt a little bit, but I'm still willing to help a little bit. But what you said, we do have control of how our life turns out. And when you steady blaming, well, my mama didn't do this, my daddy did this, person did this, you don't have control of your life. But once you get control of your life, no
Mhm.
matter what anybody else do, it's
Right.
based upon you, the outcome that you allow it to produce in your life. So thank you for that. And I hope we have some young ladies watching. But I found that this younger generation is more trouble than we are. But then we got to look at what they're exposed to. We were protected. It
Yeah.
was things we did not see, things
Mhm.
our parents did not allow us to hear, and we were not in grown people business. So these children are so little, they can't process grown people business. Their minds don't understand it and it process it different, because we understand repercussions and um being accountable for things. They're too young to really understand, if I go out and do this, this might happen and change my whole life. And it's so much negativity. And we had God as a foundation.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, Miss Mina, if it wasn't for God, it was a lot of things I wanted to do, but I was like, I can't do it because God will get me.
Right.
Imagine they don't have that. So they have no boundaries. They just do what they do. And then social media, that's a whole nother
Their
talk.
level of exposure is amazing. But what I do find about them is, because at 10, 11, and 12, they were processing things that they shouldn't have seen till
Yeah.
20, 25, 30. Their level of understanding is different. They have their level of understanding. Sometimes you're like, wow, you got that. Yeah, because I've been processing grown people's conversations since I was 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old. So I think that a lot of I think, and I believe one of the reasons why Janae is so successful with these women is that she talks to them as if they are 30, 40. There's no baby talking, there's no down talking. Like, y'all want to live like 30 years old? This is what we're gonna do. This is DTE, all of these things. We talk to them as if we have that expectation that they understand. That we want them to have this understanding, because one of my models is understanding is half the battle. Once you understand, you can move mountains. Once you realize, listen, if I don't pay my DTE by this day of the month, it could potentially be cut off by this day of the month. So let me make my DTE a priority. Once you understand that, you're not pissed at DTE for turning off your lights and gas, because you understood what your part of it was and what their part of it was. It's when there's no understanding that they're hurt and they're frustrated, they're disappointed. So all we try to do is take a mirror and say, hey, did you pay DTE on time?
Mhm.
Uh, no. Okay, well then that was your repercussion. Now, how do we help you get your DTE back on? What is it that you need? You need extra hours? Do you need what is it that you need? So I think that approach with this generation has helped, as opposed to, you should have did this. And if you would have did that, then
Yes,
this one, we just say, hey, here's the expectation. You either meet it or you don't. But if you don't, you're not gonna have no lights and gas.
that
They
makes sense.
understand it. They get it.
So do many of the women, do they come from single parent homes? Because that's what we assume. But um, and also, what is the most common reason that you find out that these young ladies end up in that shelter?
So we have young ladies, probably more than half are from single family homes. More than half have almost no relationship with a father figure. And I find that even the young women that come from two-parent households have been traumatized or have something significant on some other level. Sometimes people don't understand, you can live in a house with a person who don't even talk to you, and that could feel like abuse. When you walk around eggshells for somebody because of their bad behavior. Even though it's two parents in the household, if you have a dysfunctional parent or a dysfunctional home setting, that in itself is traumatic. It's difficult to push through that. So I started this kind of assessment a few years ago. I wanted to answer that question, like, what are the common denominators between women who come to the shelter? Like, I felt like if we could figure out what that one thing is, and we could build all our programs around it. If it's communication, then we can start, teaching them how to talk, how to listen, how to respond. If it's just, whatever it is. And I find that there is no one common denominator other than situational. Every person that we meet was one situation away from being homeless. One baby got sick and I missed a shift at work. One, I didn't put the dishes away and my mama went off and told me to get the F out of her house. It was just this one situation that happened and it caused homelessness. So if I could put my finger on it, I would say, a lot of it is how they respond to it. You pissed your mom off, you didn't do the dishes, she cussed you off. Did you cuss back at her? Or did you say, hey, mom, I am so sorry I did this. I understand that you wanted these dishes done. I'm accountable, and they move accordingly. No, they in there fighting their mama. She ain't respect me, so I ain't respect her. So there's a gamut of it, but I recognize that it was just that one situation where either you didn't handle it correctly or it was not handled correctly. And then there's some true reasons. I rented a house. I took all this, I had a family take all of their stimulus money and rented a house. It was 11 of them. It was the mother, the son, the daughter, her husband, 7 kids, and a great grand took their stimulus money to rent this house, and the guy didn't own it, and they lost all of that money and they became homeless. And we housed them. We had them for like 4 months. It was amazing just having one whole family together. But yeah, it's just that it's situational. And part of it is just understanding what that situation is and figuring out how can we move forward, and that it doesn't make you stuck. and it doesn't bog you down. It doesn't take away your joy.
Mm. Well, thank you for ooh, for giving us a lot tonight, giving us a lot to think about and making us look at those around us differently. You know, like you said, it's one situation. It's like one paycheck. You
Yeah.
can miss one paycheck and you're homeless or your car repossessed. Just one. It could just be one thing, and it could just change the whole trajectory of your life. So, what assistance or support can we offer to contribute to help your shelter?
We always need volunteers. So we also run a community coat closet. Twice a week, the community can come in and get clothes, shoes, food, diapers, wipes. And we always need volunteers to go through the donations, sort them, greet the customers, help them as they're shopping. We always need like perishable foods to put in our food pantry. We are always looking for diapers. Just recently, we had this phenomenal gentleman. He goes by the name Colin 313, and he stopped by the shelter, and then he went on his social media and asked his viewers to look at our Amazon list, and we were so blessed that they sent us like countless donations, and that was only a month ago, and we are almost out of a lot of those donations. Like we in 2 months we saw over 200 families in that community coat closet. So donations help us to support them. You may have something that you think is not any good that will bless another family. Baby supplies, diapers, formula, cleaning, household supplies, prayers, and also any cash donation helps us just to help the next person.
You know, it's funny. I go to garage sales. It's almost time. I can't wait. I see so much baby stuff.
Oh yeah.
They be literally about to give it away. And I'm always thinking, I was like, there's always people talk about they need baby stuff. I don't know anybody that need it. When I tell you, people be about to give me this stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't, I don't have any kids or anything. But now that I know you need it, I'll
Baby
start
stuff
to,
goes the fastest. As soon as we put it out, we get pregnant mothers. We try to partnership with like Sister Friends Detroit. Other shelters send their women because other shelters since COVID have not been able to take clothing donations. So they've had to close their clothing closets. So other women from other shelters come. If you're looking for a job, we have whole racks with suits and jackets, shoes, boots, coats. This year Shanice, who was our director of operations, did a coat drive. She gave away over 700 coats. We're estimating that next year we might need about 1,000 coats. So if you have coats, bring your coats. Um, it, the day that we give away coats, a line is wrapped around the corner. And you say, this
wow.
many people don't need coats. And when you look out at the little kids and little flimsy cotton jackets, you say, yeah, they need these coats. So all of those things
Mm.
that you look around and say, oh, I've outgrown it. Um, we can probably give it to somebody who could use it.
That's good. I'm glad now I have a resource because people come, like I said, I see stuff all the time. So this summer, I will be picking up baby stuff. And when I tell you, they be basically like, it just,
Yeah.
it'd be like a baby store. I will walk up on some garage sales and I turn around and walk away because I'm like, I don't need any of this baby stuff. But
Hey, you
now,
come get me when you do your garage sales. Like, I love it. You got to call me up and say, Mina, we doing garage sales today.
girl, you'll get hooked just
I love
like
it.
I am.
Everything in that building is donated.
Yeah.
The building is 4 floors. There's a basement and 3 floors. Every single thing, with the exception of an actual bed mattresses, was donated. And I can remember me and Stephanie going out to garage sales and finding end tables and all kind of mirrors. And you just be amazed that when women leave our facility, we let them take everything in a room, the sheets, the beds, the curtains,
Really?
the rugs, everything in the room. We let them take it because it's become their home. That belongs to them. Once they enter that room, that's their house. That's their home, you
Oh,
know?
wow. And so how do you get this stuff back through donations?
donations. We have
Wow.
churches. So just recently, I'm not sure if you saw, just recently we had a group that came in and redid all four rooms, new bedding, new sheets, new towels. They put up, additional pictures on the walls, new rugs. The last time the Eastern Stars came and did the rooms, I believe the Deltas came one time and redid like all of the rooms. Churches have come and adopted the rooms and redone the rooms. And so when a family moves out, we just call them and say, hey, we have an empty room. They come and pray over them.
Wow.
It's like they leave Bibles. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
You are doing amazing work. So y'all, it's time for us to go. I know y'all like, we want more. So if you want more, reach out to Miss Mina at her website. And then I know somebody out there tonight sent her a cash app. Somebody got $10. You got something, where you think you don't have anything. Remember the widow in the Bible that gave her last mites, or I like to say her last pennies,
Mhm.
and God was watching her and was like, oh, she gave out a really not lack, but abundance,
Yeah.
She gave abundance of something out of her lack. Let me put it like that to make it even easier. But so you never know what you think is small or you're done with or you don't want. Somebody would love to have it. So, Miss Mina, I'm gonna let you give us a 2-minute closeout. And while you do that, I'm gonna go on your website so they can take a look at your website, see what's going on out there. Let me
I
make
think that
sure.
what I would like for people to take away from this, or even people to be interested is reduplicating what we're doing at All Things Women. Like there should be an All Things Women in every neighborhood, in every community. There should be a place where the community can give away things that they're not using and they're reusable. We've created a model here that a church could say, hey, we have an old house right next door. We can invest in rehabbing this house, and then they could turn that house into a community hub, and church members can donate things to the house that community can use. We can have All Things Women everywhere. All Things Women is an extension of what the church is um, traditionally delivered. It's a place where people can be fed. It's a place where people can get mental health. It's a place where people can get physical referrals. It's a place where people can sleep if they need a place to sleep. It's everything that God told the church that it should be. And I would like to give the message that if there's other organizations or other individuals that says, I want to do that too, I am open and willing to share, to teach you how to do this, to share any of my resources. It's like I always say, this information doesn't belong to me. If I'm not able to get it out to the community, then it did not do it any justice. And I get up every single day to serve God and for Him to be proud of me. That's who I work for. And so this information belongs to the community. And I'd like to see in All Things Women everywhere, all over the world, it could be useful.
Hey, man, you got an event coming up on April the 6th.
Yes, April the 6th is our female veteran brunch. Female veterans is also a group of population that feels invisible. Our partner is Veteran Lives Matter. Quinn Jones is the executive director. Every year we put on a brunch just to love on female veterans. It's a place where female veterans can come and talk to other female veterans. And I don't know if you know this, but they have their own language. They have experiences in terms of military and service that none of us can relate to. It's not PTA, it's not, the girls group. They have a fellowship that is unique and should be celebrated. And so we're taking our time out on April the 6th to do a luncheon, a brunch, a panel. We're going to honor Sylvia and Nadine, which are two. Sylvia is our Veteran of the Year. Nadine is our Veteran Service Organization of the Year. Other women who love on female veterans. This past Saturday, we did a phenomenal program called Spend the Day with Compose Away. My daughter is a working artist in New York, and so she came and sat down with a group of kids and just talked about her journey from middle school band to now working on Broadway. It's our job to expose kids, to teach kids that there is life outside of Detroit and outside of these walls, and bringing her in and other little girls seeing that could be a little black girl with a big old instrument, and it can pave a way to the life that you dreamed of. So we want to inspire young women, old women. I always use Shanice. Shanice is our director of operations as an example of young women that we want to inspire, that we want to surround her with women and wisdom, and it's just delightful to watch her blossom into a woman that is also sharing and being supportive of other women. And that's just indicative of why we get up every day and go into this phenomenal place.
Amen. Amen. This was good. This was really good. So I just want to thank you for agreeing to be a
Thank you.
guest on the Ruby Girl Talk Show. And I pray that you make a connection. I have a friend, she wants to open a women's shelter, so I'm definitely going to send her your way. She's been looking for a connection. She's really in her heart to do. And so I don't mind connecting people. And I want to thank you for being so generous. I
Mhm,
really do. And I pray that God blesses you more than you can even imagine. You
mhm.
know, like they say, my mentor says the wet comes with the water, that if you're doing something, you're going to also benefit from it. So I just pray God blesses your life and your heart's desire to see you duplicated in the earth. And I believe He will do that. So if you need anything, please let me know. If you need to come on the show, talk about a program or promote an event, you're always welcome. You have a
I
you
do
have a
want
chair at
this
the table.
I want this Ruby Girl shirt. I wanna figure
Mm,
out how we can get some of those shirts, and, I'm
okay.
looking forward to you coming and meeting with our women. We're also going to put your journal, you have a phenomenal journal, and so we're
Oh,
gonna
thank you.
utilize our journal. We're gonna make sure that it's on our website. We're gonna give away some and then, give some women. We also have a postpartum, awareness education program coming up May 25th. We've got doctors coming out. We're giving away wellness packages. One of the things we're talking about is that word postpartum, which is a word that we didn't talk a lot about, but we're finding that it's really affecting young women, and we just want to have some dialogue about it.
Okay. Maybe when you come back and bring Janae. Is it Janae?
Yeah,
Yes, Janae. Okay. Maybe you and Janae can come back. Maybe Janae can come, then you and Janae can come, you
Well,
know?
whenever you need, you just holler. I am such an introvert that it is just good. You got me talking like I don't even talk. I am the behind the scenes. I love to have Janae and Shanice talk, but I thank you today because you helped me push myself out of my comfort zone. So thank you for pouring into me today.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's what I do. I'm nosy. And so I turn my down south nosiness into a talk show.
Oh,
So all right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Ruby Girl Talk. So I'll be back Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Always here with a great and fantastic guest. And I just want y'all to support Miss Mina. If you're watching the replay, that Cash App still works even for the replay. So y'all have a great and wonderful night as we sign off Facebook. See you next week, y'all.